Well,
It's
it takes a
interesting.
village to raise a child.
Okay, that's just your excuse, isn't it?
It is.
That's
my
your
excuse.
excuse for
It's a
performing badly. It's
it's
like
a
I
good
did my best
excuse.
without the village.
No, but yeah, bro. Like providing money is like maybe 1/3 of your duty, isn't it? No, not. It's not. I think a lot of us feel like it's 80% or something. It was a moment that made an impression on me. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't remember it. I don't feel negativity towards it. I thought it was more of a wow, dad hit me with wisdom moment. Actually,
I definitely felt like the perception of I don't know, the Western emotional father was something I longed for. Like I had this fixation on hearing my dad tell me that he loves me.
Bismillah. Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Mind Heist, UK edition.
UK, well, we could have done this together. You live so far away from me.
Yes, it's not like you're at the center of everything either.
I am in my own universe.
No, I mean, it's not like you're in London, Birmingham.
No, not at all. Not at all.
That is one of the
How-
annoying things. Like, if I was in London, bro, I have bear man to link up with.
You've been in the UK for like a week.
Bear
It's
man.
already back in.
Yeah.
Bear man. How are you finding it?
The UK, it's all right, bro. It's to be honest, it's all right for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, like that. I think it's down to I was thinking about this. I thought we might discuss this, and you brought it up anyway. I think it comes down to the people. I've got family where I'm staying right now. If I was in London as well, I think there's quite a few people I could, link up with. So that would be good. So any of those kind of places, I think that would be good for a few weeks. The other element is I like where I am now. There's quite a lot of greenery, so I quite like that. Even though I'm not in the desert anymore, so I've got greenery over in Turkey as well. But this specific place versus where I specifically live in Turkey, this place is a bit greener, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, it's all right, bro. It's all right. I notice a few little trends, when you come from one fish bowl to another, you notice a few differences, so.
Come on, be specific, bro.
This is a funny random one, but it's something I noticed. In the UK, I mix up men and women a lot more than anywhere else. Yeah. And it's not even like, I'm not talking about cross-dressing, none of that. I'm talking about, for example, quite a few men in the UK, okay, so number one, they're overweight. When you're overweight, I don't know, it leans you more towards maybe looking like a woman, because women overall, they have higher body fat percentage, but also in the UK, or generally, women get fatter than men easier, innit?
Wow. You are digging yourself the grave. I love it. Come on, continue.
I'm just talking facts, bro. Bro, whenever I say stuff like that, yeah, I see your face, you're like, oh, damn, what he said.
I can't wait. I just like the reaction.
It's just true, bro. Like, I'm just talking from, statistically, right? Like, women, okay. Like, a healthy body fat percentage for a woman is going to be higher than for a man.
Okay.
For a man, it might be, I don't know, 15, 20%. For a woman, it might be, 25, 30%. I don't know. Not 30. That's probably too high, right? But anyway, you get the point. There's probably like a 5 to 10% difference in healthy body fat percentage. But also, I think women find it harder to keep off the weight as well, and that could include factors like getting pregnant, etc. So anyway, that was one thing, that when a guy is bigger, he leans a bit in that direction. But the other thing as well is when I feel like the jawline it's just the something in the water, bro, that making the face is too rounded,
Right, yeah.
Like some people, okay, they're naturally going to have a round face, but it's part of the masculine makeup to have a bit of a sharper jawline, right? Okay. And that's something I noticed as well. Like a lot of men, they have that very rounded appearance rather than a sharp one. Of course, that is exacerbated by being overweight if you're overweight. And then the third factor is there are quite a few women here that have quite short haircuts. So when you combine these things together, I just find like, damn, like literally, bro, I went to Tesco, went to the checkout. I did not know, is this a man or a woman?
Yeah.
I was not sure. And it's not like the person is trying to look a certain gender. They're just being themselves. But due to these things I mentioned, it's like, yeah.
There's a lot of unknowns, isn't there? You wouldn't even know if they are trying to be or not. That's another thing. We had one of those yesterday. Me and my mum went out and we had like some really bad service from someone who just couldn't be bothered. And then I went to describe that situation to my mum to see if she agreed. And then I paused because I actually didn't know if they were, a boy or a girl. And I just thought, what, I'm not even any point even trying to waste my brain cells on this. So
you're saying that they weren't like, and it's not like they were like one gender, but they're trying to dress like another.
It was just like the short hair, but like it was kind of dyed, but then they had one earring in, but then the body language was a bit masculine, but I couldn't tell. And now, even in my memory, I couldn't tell. It could have been either way. So I just left it at that. I was like, one of life's mysteries. I'll continue.
You see what I mean about the jawline thing? Do you get that? Or?
Yeah, there was I remember reading something about it. Here's some bro science, but it was about kind of like the diet of children growing up and how there's a lot of soft food. It doesn't develop the jawline, and due to that, then we get like this inefficient kind of growth of the jawline, and overbite, underbite, all these little different things.
Yes.
And also the fact that there's beards are probably less prominent. You can hide a lot of jawline things with a decent beard. Or facial hair in general is just a signifier, isn't it? So you wouldn't even need to think about jawlines if there was no, there was facial hair to cover that. But considering it's all out on the show, all that bare flesh under here, bro, should I do it? Can I have 10 bottles of bleach, please?
Yeah, it's true. Beard can cover up a very rounded kind of jaw or face. You reminded me of that whole thing, like chewing, like very little. Like, I can't remember where it was, some TV show or something. It's like they go to some kids in school in the UK and they're just like, they don't know what, an aubergine is. They don't know what, like, they think chips are a vegetable. Like, they don't know it comes from potato. And that points to how processed the food is, maybe. It's not that you can't get unprocessed food here. You can get plenty of it. But the diet, I suppose, is very much pre-made stuff, processed stuff, chicken nuggets. And I mean, even yourself, would you say you crunch much on your food? Do you need to put work into it?
I'm into, so like my preferences lean towards drier, crunchier things.
All right.
I'm not really into like the more...
What is a dry, crunchy food?
No, they don't have to both be the same, but like, okay, I would rather like a more dry biryani as opposed to like, I don't know, like a very kind of
saucy,
heavy, saucy dish, right? And then in terms of like crunchy stuff, like, I mean, and it could be anything. It could be like crunchy pastry type of stuff, like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Savory kind of things. Like, you got burek, you've got that kind of stuff. Like the crunch in that is pretty cool. As opposed to, I don't know, a softer thing. And same with like, I prefer a stir fry as opposed to, I'm not really making much sense here. I'm just trying to think.
Little bit.
I'm just trying to think of like good examples. And
you like salad? Do you eat much raw, vegetables, fruits?
I could do better with fruits, but I definitely eat like a billion red vegetables,
In
like
salad
even
form or what?
No, like cooking. So like, for example, if I was going to make something really quickly, what did I make recently? I did a pasta that was actually very nice, went down very well with the family. But I just basically got all the vegetables I could get because a lot of the time vegetables aren't going to last. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like get the courgettes in there, aubergines, onions, tomatoes are fruit, but whatever. That kind of thing. Chop it up, garlic. Did I say onions? I did say onions. And there you go. You've got all sorts of vegetables in one dish there. Meat isn't always on the menu. But when it is, it's because of the kids. Like, you got to think what the kids going to eat. It's not as simple as before having kids. Before I had kids, whatever I thought of, I'd make. Whatever I wanted to eat, we'll eat. And I wasn't very selective in like, oh, I'm not going to eat this, I'm not going to eat that. Even in Tunisia, when I went with my mum this time round, I was trying some very different things. I tried. Have you had osbana? Is osbana on your menu in Algeria?
No, not heard of it.
Osban is basically it's similar to haggis, I suppose. It's like stuffed.
Oh,
pig,
got you.
Not pig. What am I talking about? Pig. Can you imagine?
Intestines.
Stuff. Not even intestine. I think it's stomach.
So yes, I've had that.
Yeah, there you go.
I've had that in Algeria, but I don't know the name of it.
But not only is it the stomach, like sometimes rice, sometimes what's the other thing? Some sort of other kind of, let's just say rice for now, spinach, and also like other offal, like kidney and liver and whatever. Yeah. And that was quite strong for me. I pushed myself, and my mum could see I was uncomfortable. But I had at least half of it, I remember. Because it was just there. Like my auntie, bless her, she is always doing stuff for us. So she tried her best to basically go around the greatest hits of Tunisian food, and that was one of them. And then she was like, "Oh, you're not eating it?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I am." No, but yeah, so stuff like that wouldn't have been touched at all by my kids. It wouldn't be anywhere near it. So yeah, you've got to really think what kids eat. But at the same time, the difficulty I have, I'm not going to show you, but obviously people have seen it before. My kitchen is right there. Difficulty we've got now in this new flat is that the kids will always be playing in the living room, and they can always see the kitchen. Yeah. So they'll always know what's there. So when the cupboard opens or they put any food away, you always know, okay, there's this particular snacks or this particular thing. So they'll always be calling for it. And now, Suleiman would just climb up and grab stuff for him and his brother, and you just got to be on their case. So, I sympathise with my mum now back in the day, who used to complain about us not eating particular foods and not knowing what to cook every day because, one of my sisters might like this, the other one might like this, and I might not eat that. Blah 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 blah.
Well, so, you're not picky, right?
No, but have you got that
concern now? How did you develop?
Oh, I developed
not be picky
through sheer force from my parents, I think.
So why are you not doing that, bro?
I am doing that now, but it's still difficult because it's a balancing act between concern of whether your kids are going to actually get nourishment and how long are you going to put up with them moaning. Like I have put it, I do it all the time now, where it's like a dessert they might have is like a yogurt, okay? But I'm not going to give them anything unless they finish their food, or at least make a decent effort with it. Yeah. And that's the kind of rule we've got. So, okay, you're not going to have the chicken and rice? Fine. No, you're not going to have a snack. No, if you're hungry, you get hungry again later, the chicken and rice is still waiting for you. And at least if they have a third of it, then I say, okay, they made a decent effort, right? Because I'm not expecting them to finish the whole bowl. If they do, that's great. If they don't, then at least you made a decent effort. Leave a third for air or whatever. But this is it. Yeah, I can imagine it's very subtle how it's happened, but they've definitely had a taste of the sweet life and the processed stuff. And I'm not proud of that, but at the same time, it's about weighing up the costs, isn't it? You can't afford the organic, healthy stuff all the time, let alone have the time to be making that kind of food all the time. But how do you approach it?
Initially, I was gonna go down the hardcore route, of course, as per my usual.
Yeah.
Which is basically like, here's the food, eat it. If you don't want to eat it, then don't eat it, no problem. But there's nothing else.
I like that.
Then, of course, my wife had the concern that, he's not eating enough. He's not eating enough. I'm like, well, if he doesn't eat enough for 2-3 days, he's gonna start eating whatever we give him. I don't know if we ever. No, I think there were definitely periods, not in an organized way, but there were periods where, he wasn't eating much. He wasn't eating much because we weren't really giving him alternatives. And I think, he did eat more at that time. It's not like he was cleaning up everything, but he did eat more at that time. And then another thing that we noticed, which I suspected, was if he eats like snacks, like something between like main meals, then he'll eat less at dinner, of course. So So I guess we reduced the snacks, access to snacks. Although, of course, I don't know if this is all kids, but I think it is. Like, kids need to eat more often than adults, right? The metabolism must be quite fast and stuff. So, he does have snacks. Obviously, pretty healthy snacks, though, to be honest, bro. Like peppers, raw peppers. Like,
Oh wow.
what else? What else? What else? What else? Eggs. He eats a lot of eggs, mashallah, like me.
Yeah.
What else? Maybe toast with peanut butter with no salt or sugar in it.
Oh wow.
Which is what I
Allah
eat. Anyway.
Barik. He's
So
your
his
son, I
snacks are
think.
pretty good, you know. Yeah.
I guess so.
But so I kind of flip flop between the whole being hardcore and then understanding that, okay, you know, there is a level I feel, bro. Like when I was much pickier until a certain age. After a certain age, that's when I feel like the pickiness kind of just went out the window. Maybe age 16, 17, like that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So I've got that in the back of my head. Like I don't have to be too hardcore because part of it comes with age. But also I don't want him to get used to, like you said, anything sweet or anything very salty. He loves it. Why is that?
Yeah.
You know, it's just, you know, it's the
Yeah.
thing. So you don't want them to get used to that. Otherwise they'll eat nothing else. So I feel like right now, yeah, maybe sometimes he doesn't eat much of the food, but I don't think we think too much about it because we got second child now, you know. It's just like not too much to focus on.
Yeah,
But I
this
think
is it.
overall, alhamdulillah, bro, compared to what I see other kids eating, he's good. But is he well nourished enough? Is he eating enough? To be honest, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it, balancing between the convenience of it and then actually getting in there and doing something. And now it's like the convenience has been tasted by both parties, you know, by them, the kids, and also by us.
Yeah.
You know, like just, I'll give you an example, and no shame in this, but, you know, we realized, oh, I've got to record at 4:00, and we didn't plan ahead enough to think, oh, we should have cooked dinner before that. But now they're going to have to eat now. So what can we do like in the next 20 minutes? And then we went to the old frozen pizza in the oven opportunity, which we went for, which I never get. I only ever get one every time we go shopping, just for occasions like this where we've run out of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of it, really. I don't think that's the worst stuff, but it's obviously not the best either. But no, I do sympathise. I do sympathise with the. I was going to say sympathise with parents, but I am one. You know, he's screaming his head off. I can hear him screaming through my headphones, and I have
Is it
no
'cause
idea
the
what he's
pizza
screaming
wasn't
about.
his ideal choice?
I don't know
ideal
what it
flavour?
is. He's been super clingy, bro. When I left to go to Tunisia, bro,
Who, Suleiman?
Ilyas, the younger one, he had some incredible clingy phase where at one point, like when I'd come back, because my wife was telling me about it when I wasn't here, but then when I came back, it was still continuing to the extent where he would demand that I go into his room and lie down with him, right? And then he would fall asleep while he's holding onto my beard and my hand. And then like I slowly kind of try and sneak away, and he wakes up and drags me back. Like stay with me. Little things like that, and like very possessive over his mum and not wanting anyone to be near him and his mum. So kids go through all sorts of developments, subhanAllah.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, you're thinking of the older one. You're like, oh, am I giving him enough attention? Am I treating him differently? Can I balance this out properly? Like, oh, the guilt. You must be feeling that. You
Bro,
must be
that
feeling
hit me
those kind of
hard.
vibes.
The whole treating the second one like with so much less care than the first.
Oh no,
That kicked in hardcore, bro, from day one.
really?
Yeah. But you know, it's an advantage, you know, for the middle child to get less attention. They become so much more like independent and stuff. Obviously, it shouldn't get to, you know, negligence levels, but
Yeah.
yeah, I find I'm way more into the older one. My wife's way more into the baby, you know. So like we split the attention that way, just naturally by preference.
I can't help but feel that, you know, I'll never. I think that's the beauty of it. There's a beauty and a curse, so to speak, that you'll never feel satisfied that you're doing enough for either in the right place at the right time, because it's always a new experience. You're always in a new sort of, there's always a new horizon for each of them. And you're just thinking, like, you know, I always think, for example, oh, I haven't taken Suleiman out on his own in a long time, or oh, I can see that he feels neglected because I'm, you know, I'm playing with the younger one, or whatever, and then I take Suleiman out. Like I take him out of the car whilst we're all out together. I'm like, oh, come with me. We need to go to the shop quickly. And then you can hear Elias going, oh, me, take me. I turn around and I'm like, oh, but I haven't taken him out either. And it's like, but I need to give them solo attention as well as joint attention. Otherwise, how is this getting, you know what I mean? Like, am I giving enough to each of them? And then, oh, it is just a political game. And then obviously as I plan to try and grow my family, I'm thinking, subhanAllah, like, am I gonna serve everybody in the right way? And then now, like, even looking back onto my own life and looking back to how my father treated me and my sisters, like I was with my sisters the other day, we were just reminiscing. They were just talking about all these long messages and stuff that my dad would send them. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And Dad sent me 3 words. Do you know what I mean? Like, but the fact that that still plays on my mind now at almost 30 years old, like, oh, I need to get this as right as I possibly can. And, you know, undoubtedly, we're going to get things wrong. Undoubtedly, as parents, we're going to get things wrong. Undoubtedly, as our kids grow older, and if these episodes are still out there for them to see, we'd like to think that they'll see that. You know, your kids might see how you're struggling. You're going to see that. Kids are going to see that. You know, I'll write it in my will. Just listen to Mind Heist episode 181. Right? But no, inshallah, it's interesting, man.
It takes a village to raise a child.
Okay, that's just your excuse, isn't it?
It is.
That's your excuse for performing badly. It's like I did my best without the village.
No, but I don't know, maybe because of the age of my kids, I'm not that too worried about it. I'm not too worried about it, but yes, that is a good excuse, because you can imagine you talk about giving them joint attention and then solo attention. Come on, bro. Imagine when people used to have more kids, 4, 5, 6 kids. Are they giving them all solo attention? Are they even thinking about solo attention? Probably not. It's just the fact that you might give one of them a bit of solo attention one day, and then Ammo so-and-so gives the other one some solo attention, and then your brother gives the other one some solo attention. So that's what I mean,
That's a culture, isn't it? Like, that's a cultural shift. And I think, it kind of goes a little bit into that question we got in Curious Cat, which we'll get to in a little bit. But it's about what paradigms are you basing your parenting on? Like, despite the fact that, yes, we have the Quran and Sunnah, the culture of look at the past and how many people, how people had loads of different kids, and then how did they, did they spend solo attention on all of them, etc., etc. Well, that's fine, but watch a film like, I don't know, Cheaper by the Dozen or Home Alone. Or Home Alone's a good example, where they neglected that one kid so much that I can't remember which one it was, but they took a flight, and left him alone without realizing that they left him behind. That kind of thing. It's like you are leaving kids behind in big families without realizing.
That's calm, bro.
In a culture, though, but that's in a culture, an environment, a society that will look down upon that, and the kid is aware that that's looked down upon in their society, in their culture, and then you become the bad guy. You can't just say, "Oh, but in the past, people had loads of kids." Blah blah. That doesn't matter. We're talking about right now in this culture, like. As the kid will be aware that you are underperforming as far as this culture's standards, and then you might feel like you're underperforming in this culture's standards. I can't always lean on this notion of, in this other culture far away 1,000 years ago, it was different. Do you know what I mean? And that's where this gray area of, yes, there is Quran and Sunnah, of course, in terms of parenting, but also there's the running theme, the running tradition of being fair and just with all your children, and trying to balance that, I suppose, in a culture that kind of gives a very, very heavy importance to individualism and the individual. You can't.
Do you
just
feel
say,
that? Yeah.
Oh, I feel it 100%.
Because do you think that comes from the wider UK culture, or from even within your friend group or social kind of network group?
I think pop culture. Media, that kind of thing, that's shaped what my understanding of a family would be. What did I watch? What did we watch the other day? I watched The Incredibles. You ever seen The Incredibles?
No.
Never seen The Incredibles. Pixar movie. It's about a family of superheroes.
I'm aware of it.
Okay.
Actually, my son's passport photo, he's wearing that red.
There you go. All right. So I watched it again yesterday,
Fail.
or the day before yesterday, and it resonated with me a lot differently this time round because I'm a dad. I've got kids, and like obviously it's that thing again, that notion again of rewatching old media and suddenly resonating with the parents as opposed to resonating with the kids.
Yeah.
And that battle and the dynamics that are in that, you know, essentially he's a retired superhero and he's forced into retirement because suddenly superheroes are outlawed, but then he's kind of moonlighting, you know, behind the back of his family and his wife and doing superhero work, and then gets in trouble, blah, 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 blah. But that notion of like, oh, I've lost my job and I need to do something to provide for this family at whatever the cost. But then the battle of, am I doing it because I want to provide for my family, or am I doing it to feel alive again and feel like I used to when I was younger and in my glory days and that kind of thing? But there's also a notion in there of the individual, the parent paying individual attention to the specific child's needs. One of his children is the teenage girl, and she's, I mean, obviously she's having boy problems at school or something like this, or confidence issues. The other one, there's a younger boy, and he's got this thing of like they're not letting him play sports at school because he would beat everybody and out the fact that he's got superpowers. But anyway, but it's just this notion of like they've got individual problems. You can just deal with it by just shouting at them and saying, grow up and I'm trying to sort out the family, or actually pay special attention to each child's needs and what they're going through. And I think there's a payoff in that, no doubt, because at the end of the day, kids are always going to compare themselves to other parents and their kids and see the best and see the highlights and not necessarily value what you're doing for them overall, right?
Yeah.
Does that not concern you?
No, I understand the theoretical value of spending time specifically with one on their own. Yeah, definitely. It's just, maybe it's just the age of my kids, bro. Maybe that's the only thing. Let's see. Let's see in a few years.
How old is your Suleiman now?
3.
Oh yeah, I keep thinking he's older. It will happen.
No, see, I give him plenty of attention. Obviously, solo attention. He's the first one. The second one, the thing is, he's just too young, isn't it? Like when he's
that's fine then. Yeah,
when he's 2 or 3, will I be? I guess at that point, I might think, okay, am I always going to take them out together? Or am I gonna, start taking them out on their own? I mean, maybe I would. I think, like I said, I think it does make sense. I just don't know if I would like get stressed over it or feel like if I'm not giving them individual attention, am I failing somehow? I don't know if I would take it that far. That's all I'm thinking.
I think once you start comparing your children to other children, and not talking about in a negative way, but like we had a parents' evening a few days ago, and I realized that Suleiman has very much developed a personality. He's very much developed a personality that's different to me, different to my wife. It might borrow some of our elements.
How dare he, bro?
But even so, that there's going to be times in school where there's cause for concern. All right, or he's not. There's something that he's doing that might not be beneficial to him. Yeah. And one of the things that he's got is he zones out a lot, and he's not necessarily engaged in the class. Like he would decide that he doesn't want to participate in a particular group thing or whatever. He'd rather do his own thing. How against the grain. And I see some of that behavior at home a little bit, but I think he not gets away with it, but he tries to display it more at school. And he pulls this particular face and he'll just say, no, I'm not doing that particular thing like that. I don't want to do that. It's not happening. And he's got this thing about drawing. He just wants to escape in drawing. That's all he wants to do.
Interesting.
He's got drawings all over the house now, things that he just likes to draw. So that's a particular thing, and it's just like, okay, where's that come from? Why is that developing? They're asking us if something's happening at home. We're asking them, no, is something happening at school? Like, where is this coming from, right? And it's just trying to explore that. And is it because he's feeling like he's not getting enough attention? Has his little brother kind of overtaken his attention? Because his little brother's definitely gone through a very needy phase that he's thankfully coming out of now. But is there something happening there? You've got to be very aware with how you react. Like sometimes, like let's be real about it. He's older, so a lot of the cuteness, so to speak, has kind of faded, and a lot of that still remains with his little brother.
I don't want that to happen.
But it happens, subhanAllah, it happens. Yeah. And the thing is, bro, like the little one will get away with something, and the older one won't, because you'll be like, oh, you know, but you shouldn't be doing that. Or no, like Ilyas might be screaming about something, like, give me that toy back. And your easy reaction is to just say to the older one, give that back to him, just let him have it, just to shut him up. That kind of mentality, and you don't even realize you're doing that. So you need to be really aware. And I try my best, wallahi al-azim, I'm very conscious of anything I say. Straight away, as soon as I say it, I'm like, okay, now I need to rectify that imbalance by acknowledging something Suleiman has done, or praising him, or paying him some sort of attention. And it goes back to what we said not long ago, but a few months ago, when you mentioned your technique of praise. You know, you said you don't necessarily praise them for something they've achieved. You just acknowledge that they've done that particular thing. Yeah. Like, oh, you've built a castle. Okay, now that might be the case now. You know what I mean? That might be the case now. But when you've got someone to compare him against, that's when competition comes in. All right, and competition is healthy. Competition should exist. I don't believe in the whole everybody's a winner nonsense. Don't think that motivates anyone. But they will start competing for your attention. Kids will start competing for your attention. They'll start fighting each other for it. And this goes back to my theory of trying to give everybody their haqq and trying to be equally open with them. You know, I don't have daughters, so it's all boys. So when I think, like what I said earlier, my dad was very emotionally open with my sisters, very closed off with me. I don't want that for my kids. If I was to ever have a daughter, I mean, yeah, I assume I'm going to have a bias towards my daughter. I can just feel it. But I want to be emotionally open with all of them, so they all know quite clear what I'm thinking, why I'm thinking that way, and how I feel about them, so that there isn't this kind of thing, this misunderstanding. Because a running theme we have now, we and my sisters, may Allah bless them, is that we keep using this phrase, that's not what dad would have done, or that dad would have done it like this. Okay, we keep doing that. It's happening. Like every time we meet, I will say, no, dad would have done it this way, so this is how I'm going to try and do it. And they'll be like, no, dad wouldn't have done it like that. Dad would have said this, and dad would have done this. And we're arguing about how our dad would have preferred a particular situation or a particular decision, because we have vastly different understandings of who our dad is. Yeah. Right? And that is so profound, because it's the same human being. But they've seen a certain slice of him. I've seen a certain slice of him. Yeah. I've had the slice of him that treats me as the eldest son. They've had the slice of him that's, oh, my little girl, my youngest girl, whatever. It's very interesting. These dynamics will play.
That's very different, yeah. It's the same person, different experiences of the same person, yeah.
Because, I mean, you want the social cohesion of your family to exist even beyond you. I think that's a lot of... I see it now in Tunisia. When I went to Tunisia, I see a lot of it. You know, men die, leave family behind. The family end up fighting each other. You know, but one of my dad's biggest things to me before he died was just constantly about keep the family together. You know, make sure that look after your sisters, look after your mum. That family cohesion. So I'm very aware of that for my own kids, and I think likewise you'd want to be too. If anything was to happen to you, obviously it's very early days. The kids are young, but may Allah protect you and keep you for them. But, you know, you've got to have that in your mind from now, because think back to your earliest memory. How old do you think you were? Like the earliest thing that you probably could remember. Because I have very, very memories of 5 years old.
When do you go to year one? Is it like 5?
Yeah, so, Suleiman's in year 1. So
maybe 4 or 5, my first memories.
Yeah. That's it. So if you can remember your own memories, then best believe your kids are making memories right now that will stay with them for life.
Bro, no, it means I've got about a year or 2 before Suleiman's actually going to remember anything. Clean slate, fresh slate, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's true, though. It's true. And, you know, what's another 5 years on top of that? You know, Suleiman's 5 now. I'll blink and he'll be 10. I remember so much from 10, 9, 8. In fact, all of my memories from Tunisia living there were between the ages of like 6 and 8 or 6 and 9 or something like that.
Yeah.
Look how much that shaped me. My whole comfortability, or my comfort in wanting to go back and live in Tunisia one day, stems from just those 2 years I spent there.
Oh, subhanallah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the confidence I have to stride in my hometown in Tunisia with no one holding my hand or whatever comes from those 2 years, and that shaped me. My father's reputation over there as well has shaped me. So what reputation am I creating for my kids now? And so it's really, really, really powerful stuff. And it's easy to get caught up in the providing and the money making and the looking after all the responsibilities, but then actually just sitting there and giving them not just undivided attention and sitting there, but actually like impactful, wisdom, experiences, knowledge, talking to them, being open with them. I'm not saying I'm great at it, but I'm just conscious that I need to do it, right?
Yeah, bro. Like providing money is like maybe 1/3 of your duty, isn't it? No, it's not. I think a lot of us feel like it's 80% or something.
Yeah, absolutely. But you have goals, bro. You probably have you're pretty good now, but alhamdulillah. But imagine like you might have a 5-year goal. Okay, I'm not planning to get rich quick overnight. I might have this 5-year goal. In 5 years, I want to be at this particular point in my life, whether it's financial freedom, spending more time with the family, have my own business, whatever it is. But that means 5 years of work. Okay, 5 years of hard work, which means sacrificing maybe a particular time with my family, whatever it is. But then in 5 years, let's say, yes, I finally achieved it. I'll look back and be like, oh, my son's 10. What the hell? Like, I just missed out 5 years of his life. Dawned upon me yesterday. Like, I was running around. I've been running around like crazy since I came back. I was in Aldi. Shout out to Aldi. I was in Aldi doing a food shop. And it dawned upon me in like the frozen food aisle. I can't remember the last time I took out my son to ride a bike. And then it was like, wait, can he even ride a bike without... No, he can't ride a bike without training. That's my fault. Like I'm to blame for that. All right. I've blamed myself for that. Even though maybe one would argue, no, it's up to him to grab the bike. But no, then I was like, oh, I need to slot that in somewhere. I need to fit that into my hectic schedule because that could be a source of resentment somewhere down the line. And lots of little things like that. So it's inevitable that you're going to leave gaps in your parenting. You have to accept that. You're not a perfect parent. But it may really hurt you one day to have your son turn around to you and say something nasty. Even though they're in the wrong for saying that, it will still hurt you as a parent. Because I'm sure I've said some nasty things to my parents growing up. You might have. I think you're better than me though. But you might have. I remember fighting and arguing with my dad. I remember fighting and arguing with my mum. Absolutely uncalled for now in retrospect. But at the time, I definitely felt a particular type of way that I probably shouldn't have or didn't have the whole picture of. What do you think, bro? What do you think about all this rambling I've just gone on?
Oh, the whole time I'm just thinking about jaw lines, to be honest. Yeah.
I hope your son sees that
with
and
you,
gets
bro.
upset.
I'm here. I think...
Good, bro.
Yeah.
See,
I'm taking it a lot easier than you.
I think it's still not there yet.
That makes sense because my kids are young.
But it's good to have that prep, I suppose. You know that it's coming.
No, it is.
It's coming.
It is. You're talking about when you have maybe the two of them. One of them is... You're talking about them like... when was it Ilyas? He was insisting that you would put him to sleep, and he's grabbing your beard and all that. It reminded me of the book I just finished reading, it's called The Whole Brain Child. And actually, I had bought that book ages ago, but I think my wife read it and I didn't read it. So one sister in the Telegram, she told us about it, so it reminded me to read it. So now I read it, and I think that has a lot of insights around. When the kids are getting very emotional and they're kind of almost out of control.
Yeah.
Like they can't even control themselves. It's not like they're being stubborn or whatever. And so that's what the whole brain concept is. It's allowing how to allow your children to integrate the two sides of their brain, like the logical and the emotional,
Yeah.
So I think that's really good. And I think I understood that from maybe other things I've read in the past. And so I'm pretty good with my son when he gets to that emotional side, when he's too far on the emotional side. Alhamdulillah. So that's something I'm proud of today.
Congratulations.
Yeah. But I think the main thing here, it's not like either of us, I don't know, maybe you're doing better than me. I don't think I would say I'm doing better than you in parenting, but it's how you view it as well. So like, I think your standards are a certain place and mine are another place, and that's why you might feel worse off than me, etc. You know, and like you were saying, like you said you were watching The Incredibles, and you got the you saw all of this, and you said it comes from the the mainstream culture that you consume.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't feel that, I guess, at all. I feel very like I don't realize this, but now that you said that, I'm outside of any mainstream culture. I've got the influence of my parents and maybe a bit of my broader family. I've got my friends like that I know. What else have I flipping got? I've got Quran and Sunnah thrown in there. Like I don't feel like it's just the way I see a good parent being is very much not influenced by, I suppose, mainstream, especially UK media. It wouldn't be UK media. It wouldn't be Turkish media. Like, what would it be? I don't know.
It's interesting though, because even if you go Quran and Sunnah, there's so many different varieties. I mean, look at Yusuf alayhi salam and his father, and then compare that kind of treatment. We don't know that. I personally don't know the preface to that. I don't know what made that kind of relationship a bit more special than the rest, apart from the fact that Yusuf alayhi salam was having these dreams, right? And he sat with his father, and his father explained, and he said, "Don't tell this to your siblings, okay?" But what was it? What was the relationship with his father and the other siblings prior to this? I don't know. Maybe you might know. Maybe there's some knowledge out there that I've yet to tap into. But there's that example, and that's a dynamic of, I don't want to say favoritism, not at all, but definitely treating one in a particular way because of something has happened, and then the others maybe there's a fuel of jealousy there, right? The jealousy fueled in, and it's kind of like that. The father at a particular point has become old and frail and no longer he's sending his kids out to carry out tasks for him. It's almost like the analogy I brought out earlier. After the father, what does the relationship with those siblings look like? Does the family stick together? Do they snake do they snake one another? That kind of thing. And then there's obviously other examples in different kind of family dynamics in the Quran and Sunnah. So it's not all one size fits all approach. It really is. There's so
much from Quran and Sunnah. Like there are different models, probably, right? There is Yusuf Yaqub. There is the Prophet ﷺ himself. There is like Musa Harun. There's many.
There's Nuh alayhi salam as well.
Sulaiman. Yeah. So there's many, which I'm yet to study. So it's not. Yeah, you're right. It's not like just.
That's it.
You know that awful phrase, Islam says. Islam says X. Yeah.
It's interesting because unless you've really, really deeply studied an issue from a large spectrum, everyone falls into this, grabbing this hadith or grabbing this ayah or grabbing this story and throwing it onto whatever approach they have and saying, look, this is it. Oh God, I've seen that tweeted a lot today, especially considering someone might or may not have accepted Islam who forms a lot of opinions. But yeah, people are throwing left, right and center hadith around and making it fit there. Someone actually, some brother mentioned, because I tweeted at him saying, oh, you're very angry lately, like been very angry tweets, and he says, oh, I'm angry for the sake of Allah. And then it kind of made me pause and think, you're angry for what you think is for the sake of Allah. You don't know for a fact that that's what Allah thinks about this particular situation. And I think we all have that. So we all justify ourselves forming opinions or forming approaches, unless it's very, very, very obvious, very clear cut.
That level of self-awareness seems quite rare.
But it's important to have. I think it's important to have, because right now we've shown the spectrum. We've shown that there isn't just a clear-cut way. So there are somewhat universal goods, but even those goods, like you said earlier, like your approach could actually have a long-term good and a short-term negative. My approach could have a short-term positive and a long-term negative. For example, I'm very conscious that I might be tipping over the scale of being way too lovey-dovey with them, or I'm not that lovey-dovey, but I am more than my father, I think, was. I think. Allah knows best. But then I think, oh, is that going to make them too soft in the future? When they need that strength, are they going to be able to, if I'm not around, are they going to be able to rely on themselves, rely on their 2 feet? And then your approach is like, I could see your approach creating a lot of animosity now. Well, not a lot, but, some animosity maybe, because there's gaps there compared to other kids or whatever. But in the long term, they'll be a lot more independent, right? Obviously, that's a major exaggeration of your situation. Well, it reminds me of that approach that you mentioned before. I know bringing it up, but it's like just the acknowledgement as opposed to the praise.
Oh, that's just
that
one
kind
little
of thing.
slice. That's just when it comes to motivating children.
Well, it's a little slice for you, but it could be a big slice for a child.
Oh, about that. Oh, would that like negatively affect them? If I thought that, I wouldn't do it.
Your validation before was to stop them from seeking validation from
that was the
you
reason.
specifically, but maybe others in the long term.
No, they should.
Right?
They should. It's the whole thing. Maybe, part of it is like I read it in the book, but also I think I mentioned this before. I went to my dad when it was GCSE time, and I said, "Hey, John and Joe, their parents are giving them £20 for every GCSE where they get an A." He's like, "Nice one, mate." Yeah. He's like, "Your reward is getting the A." Yeah,
right.
That is the reward. So,
how'd that make you feel?
Honestly, I was like, fair enough.
Really? You weren't upset?
I remember feeling, no, I did not feel upset. I was like, fair enough. These lot are soft, like trying to get money for doing what they should be doing anyway. And I'm like, just
but
doing
why would
what
you
I
bring
should
it
be
up
doing.
then? Why would you bring it up then? I mean,
I'm trying to get what I can get, innit?
There you go. So you must have felt disappointed.
No, because when you, for example, you're at you're at a market and you see something and the price is a good price. And then you try and get another 20% off and the guy's like, no. And you're like, fair enough. Yeah, I thought it was worth trying,
Now, what was it then? What did your opinion about John and James's parents form then? Did you think they were too soft? Did you see a negative in doing that at that age?
Obviously it's hard to remember, but I didn't feel one atom's weight of resentment towards my dad for having that response.
You're a machine, bro. That's why. You're a machine.
I don't know.
I would have been the type
to do what they should be doing anyway.
Well, yeah, but you've brought it up, so it leads me to believe that you felt a certain type of way that I'm not getting that.
That's a good point. That's a good point. It was how do you say it? It was a moment that made an impression on me. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't remember it. I don't feel negativity towards it. I thought it was more of a wow, Dad hit me with wisdom moment. Actually,
okay.
That's kind of more how I feel about it when I remember back, Kenny. I think my dad.
Interesting.
This is what I think about. Like what I got from my dad is not that much attention, Yanni, especially in the way we're describing now. Not that much, but a lot of those kind of moments that I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
And I can see like a lot of the impact on me now. So even though you could say the moments of insight or wisdom per hour spent with me is very high.
Right. That's good at least. Alhamdulillah. Do you say you ever felt any time where you felt like you wanted more from him?
Whoa.
We're getting in there, bro, because we haven't. Never done it before. I want to know.
No, my only hesitation is, would my dad like this, or is it a good thing to hear? But anyway, let me think about it. So
no, but it doesn't mean your dad did anything wrong or right. It's about your perception as a child. Because like I said to you earlier, my perceptions of my father weren't exactly justified, but it's just about how a child thinks, which is important to acknowledge now, because we want to think about how our kids might think one day. So this isn't about what your father did or didn't do. It's about what you felt as a child. Your father could be the best father in the world, but you as a child, they were deficient. Yeah,
my perception. This is the thing. I think this is where norms come into it, because this is the thing. I had friends who were like, you could say white people, and I had Muslims or Arabs friends. Mm-hmm. Now, the Arab friends, their parents were more like my dad, right? Where not much time, not much attention. mostly at work. If not at work, then out somewhere, right? And then the white kids was more like, some of them, yani, their parents would be much more involved, like, oh, all these activities and go to all these different places.
Yeah.
How do I feel about that? Because I didn't associate myself as being white, right? So I'm like, okay,
Right.
their parents are doing that, but I'm not white, so why why should I expect that, right? I think part that's part of what happened in my head, but also I don't know. I feel like it was only later on when I started thinking like, yeah, I wish my dad showed me this or took me to these kind of scenarios so I could learn more stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it was more later, maybe when I was 20, 21 kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when I realized that, so in the moment, I just wanted to like just be allowed like out more and be allowed like out later and more freedoms and all that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good though. Alhamdulillah. I definitely felt like the perception of I don't know, the Western emotional father was something I longed for. Like I had this fixation on hearing my dad tell me that he loves me.
Yeah.
Right. Which is, in retrospect, is definitely it's outside of the realm of his culture and his experience.
Yeah.
Especially now when I listen
to a disconnect between maybe your expectation and his
100%.
Yeah.
100%. To the extent where when he opened up a bit more when he was ill, he was talking to me about his relationship with his dad. Might have mentioned it before, but his dad loved him, he loved his dad, but they didn't really express it much until he said that, like, the last time he saw his dad had come to the UK. So my granddad came to the UK, asking my dad, I'll come back to Tunisia, etc., etc. He didn't in the end, but when they were saying goodbye, I think they were on a train, they were saying goodbye, and they just broke out in tears, started crying, hugging each other and stuff. Apparently it never happened before, never done anything like that. That was the last time he saw him, but that obviously resonated with him, stuck with him. And then when I kind of got that, it kind of made sense to me, like, oh, this is like a generational cultural thing. This is nothing to do with him, and what he eventually mustered out was like, that I love you kind of thing. Like, you don't need me to say it. And then I was like, well, yeah, why am I after something that isn't actually, the knowledge that he did is more than the words
in
just
theory,
to make me feel better. Yeah, the theory. So it's interesting because the dynamic is that what does a good father look like?
That's mad, bro. That's deep because it sounds like, especially because of where you live in the UK and where you grew up in the UK, it's very much, just white people, right? So it would make sense that you would set your norms based on that, if that's what you're interacting with all the time. Whereas me, like I guess with many things culture-wise, I kind of had a pick and mix setup. So yeah, I guess it wasn't that black and white for me, like what's a good like father or mother, what's not so good.
Yeah. Although I'm sure in your environment, in whether it's North African culture or in the UAE or wherever you were, you probably could see a bad father a mile away. Like you probably know what a bad father was.
Yeah, probably.
Right? Yeah. Like I could see what a bad father was, despite the fact that I might have wanted more from my dad. Like my dad's the greatest thing that my dad probably instilled in me was just him being present, him basically, come, like, especially when we were living in the UK, go to work, come home, right? If he ever went out, it would be like on a weekend, he'll go out in the morning, come back midday. There's no like evening thing or whatever. But then that always being present, always like even like families breaking up and stuff like that. It didn't make sense. Like he came from a culture like divorce was like a forbidden word, right? Like just people giving up too soon and sacrificing their kids, this future or the stability, whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that there isn't occasions where divorce has to happen and should happen, but I definitely grew up in an environment where that was like really looked down upon. Like, divorce? What do you mean? Like, I remember even speaking to my wife, we got married. I was like, never say the D word. Never say D word. Like, no, not at all. No, you don't say that in this house. Do you know what I mean? But I think that's good as well because it kind of frames the commitment in a way that, we're going to make this work. We're going to try our best. We're going to put in the effort. Didn't come from a family background where, as soon as the going gets tough, that's it, game over. So I've spoken to a lot of brothers about that kind of mentality, because there have been brothers I've sat with and they start bringing up the D word, the divorce. I was like, over what? Over that? You having a bubble? What are you talking about? Because the grass is greener. It's like grass is green attitude, right? So, or at least they think it is. So little things like that, like, the principles that my dad instilled in the family structure, family values, and even warned me. He warned me against particular men and other men and their traits, and I couldn't see that at the time, but I see it now. He warned me against people in Tunisia, like, be careful about this person. I couldn't see that then, but I see it now. And then that kind of shaped how I think about masculinity and manhood and all that stuff. So going back to my question, bad parents, bad, quote unquote, bad traits.
It's coming to me,
Yeah.
I remember, so most of my friends were actually non-Muslim in school. And their parents were all much looser than mine. And of course, at that time, at that moment, I just wanted more freedom.
Yeah.
But the thing is, bro, it's like, even at that age, I feel like it was very clear in my head. I want this, but this is bad for me. Like, I actually thought those two thoughts were in my head at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So my dad's like, don't go out beyond this time. Don't go with these people. Don't, mix with girls. Don't do this and that, yeah? All of these things, I'm like, yes, I agree, but I just want it anyway, right?
Right, yeah.
So when I saw my friends' parents letting them do all those things, that's when naturally I'll be like, well, that's a bad parent, because it's like you're literally just kind of either giving in or you're encouraging something which seems to me pretty clear to be bad, right?
Yeah.
But again, I was Muslim, they're not Muslim, right? So. And that's one thing that my dad always used to tell me. He's like, my dad's like, cool, you can have non-Muslim friends, no problem. But he's like, they're not like you. This is again, I think I'm directly quoting him, right? Because that was a point of impression on me, definitely. And I was like, yeah, that's true, that's true. And that whole thing of like, many people have that tension. I remember we had it. Like the Muslims and non-Muslims mixing in a kind of a westernized school. And also I'm sure it happens in the UK, etc., Muslims and non-Muslims. There's always that tension or that question of like, okay, I know we're Muslim and we know it's the haqq, but like they're doing all this and they're having fun and blah, 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 right? And sometimes you can slip into an inferiority complex. But I feel like I felt that, but then when my dad just put it in words like, you're not like them, it kind of like, it all made sense to me more. And so I was like, okay, yeah, so I'm going to hang out with these people, but when they want to do certain things or etc., just remember, okay, you're not like them. So I actually, even though I'm talking about my best friends.
Yeah.
My best friends, I had a separation in that sense. I had Muslim friends as well, where I didn't have that. But, alhamdulillah, bro, I think that was the benefit of actually living in a Muslim country. As much as the whole culture in the school was more Western, and probably 70-80% of my friends were non-Muslim, there was this overall dominance of Islam kind of thing. And especially not living in somewhere like Dubai as well. It's like more of a smaller city or a more conservative city. That I feel made a difference. Because when I was a bit older, like for example, we used to go and play tournaments in Dubai, and we see the other kids that are going to Western schools in Dubai, I'm thinking, damn, that's not how we are, Even the non-Muslims in my city were more like traditional than the Muslims in Dubai sometimes.
Yeah, I can imagine. Subhanallah. That's interesting, man. There is so many dynamics at play, because you've got the dynamic of entitlement for kids, so they think that they're entitled to these certain things, and if they're not receiving them, then they're they've got bad parents, and that goes to extremes. I've been in situations where I've seen parents kids assault their parents. So many sort of domestic incidents like that. Unbelievable number. Daughters thinking it's fine to beat up their mums. Kids sons think it's fine to beat up their dads, and vice versa, and whatever. But also there's that dynamic of, I've seen, for example, Arab parents or Muslim parents or whatever demand their rights, rightfully so, but then undermine their rights by acting completely against the Quran and Sunnah within the household. And you're stuck between this really difficult position for youngsters who they may or may not be close to the deen, right? The kids, they may not be close to the deen. They're aware that they have to obey their parents, but because of their parents' behavior that goes against the deen, it's so difficult to remain obedient whilst living in oppression. It's a hard dynamic. You can imagine that. All right, you can imagine that.
And by the way, that's one of the wisdoms, we could say, of the Prophet ﷺ, didn't grow up and didn't go through prophethood with his parents around him.
Yes.
Because imagine he had to go against his father, let's say, who's doing shirk. Like, that would be too much almost.
Well, yeah, look at Ibrahim alayhi salam. There was a taste of that dynamic in the Quran when it speaks about Ibrahim alayhi salam, trying to teach his father about Tawheed, but getting that backlash. But also the way he addressed his father was out of respect, but the backlash he's receiving was that one of disobedience of his father to Allah. And the consequence of that was a severe consequence. But it's hard when you have a parent that is Muslim, but there's certain behaviors that, because you've got to remember, like, the way I see it is that we as fathers, we're responsible. We are, the paramount point of that family structure, and the sins that we commit, the mistakes that we commit, just resonate within the family, shatter that family makeup. So it's really, really, you'll be asked about your family, like in Yawm al-Qiyamah, you're asked about your family, but also the sins that you commit resonate through that family. You start allowing things get allowed. You stop, like, imagine, subhanAllah, I've heard of this, like, my dad used to complain about particular people. He used to say, this guy's meant to be Muslim. He drinks, and that's fine if he drinks, but he brings it into his house and he tells his son to go and get him a beer from the fridge. My dad used to complain about that. Like, he used to hate when people would bring that sin into that house, right? Yeah. Recognize that the man might have a sin, might have an issue, but then bringing it in, then expecting your kid to obey you Islamically or whatever, but then still acting like a full good damn home in front of them. So there's that dynamic as well. It's like, you've got to, yes, you have a right, your kids should be obedient to you, but they're also weak. They're also human beings. So try your best to make an environment where you deserve respect and deserve obedience at the same time. Yeah. You can't have cake and eat it too, I think, in that regard. So that's really important as well. That resonates back to what we were saying. We need to try and be good fathers as much as to our ability, communicate what we're trying to do. Maybe might not always need to communicate it. Maybe there's a negative in communicating the way we're thinking sometimes, because you just think you're not going to understand. And in that way, we create a good environment where obedience comes naturally, as opposed to, you shouldn't have to turn around to your wife or your kids and say, I'm the dad, you must obey me. Like, I could do, that's my last resort, but I don't want to. I don't want it to be like that. I don't have to ask for it. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
No, definitely. So we have to be good fathers, but we have to be good people, like, before that. No, we have to be respectable people. Otherwise, people might try to respect you and find it difficult.
I liked what you said about that before, that in the previous episode you spoke about taking your son out so he sees how you engage with others. Yeah. Right? I think that's really powerful. Really, really vivid memories of that, how my father interacted with others. I'm sure you've got the same. And that's probably shaped your understanding as well. Something as simple as, like, I think I mentioned this before, but like thanking people when you give them way in traffic. And I remember, like, vivid memory being 4 or 5 years old, asking my dad, "Oh, do you know everybody?" And he was like, "Yeah," because he used to thank everyone when he's driving. When he's driving, thank someone to give way, that kind of thing. And I grew up thinking he just knew everyone. That's why he's waving at them, right? Yeah. But it just shows you, even from 4 or 5 years old, those memories start getting formed.
I just remember my dad calling other drivers Hamar.
Interesting, though, isn't it? Interesting. Because you might pick up on that. You might have engaged in that, thinking that that's the way to react. But there's going to be other things that your father does, good things that your father does that you picked up on, that you've adopted.
Maybe that's part of why I think the way I think. Like, I think, deep down, I don't believe many contact hours, as they call it, is required to do what we need to do, if you know what I mean, to impart the principles, the wisdoms, the guidelines, whatever it is, yeah? Yeah. I don't think deep down I'm convinced that lots of contact hours are needed for that. And this is the thing, bro. It's like, for example, let's say a footballer, right? Part of his job to be a top performer is to go to training and then play the matches and do his best. But when he's like chilling at home, but when he's at home, he's like, I don't know, eating certain things for his diet, or he's like researching how to recover quicker, or whatever it is, right? He's doing. Like the journalists or whatever, they don't know about that. But that contributes to his game on the match that they do know about.
Right.
So I feel like there is an element of that for maybe fathers more than mothers even, where, bro, if I'm like me today, building a business, even doing this podcast, whatever it is that I am going through, that is somehow contributing to how good I am as a father.
Right, yeah.
And sometimes my absence is contributing to the to my job as a father. And sometimes just certain breakthroughs that you make in your personal life contribute to your parenting sometimes, Not to take that to an extreme where, the whole thing of never being at home. But I'm just saying, so that when you do spend time with them, it hits harder perhaps because of certain things.
Yeah, true.
I know I've overcome so many things bifadlillah, like issues I have in my head. I still have so many issues in my head, the way I think and stuff. Just having overcome that contributes to my parenting to a next level, right? Like I'd be a much worse person. I'd think in certain ways which are not good, and then that would have a negative effect on my kids,
There's a lot to say for obviously nature and nurture, temperament as well. Things might come out of the blue, really, when it comes to your kids that you won't understand. My dad was very rigid in particular ways, and then I grew up, at least when I was 4 or 5, apparently very obedient, do what I'm told and stuff. And then like there's certain flares from my kids. I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have done that when I was his age. Where's that come from? Right? What's going on there? So I suppose we'll see, won't we, with you? We'll see what happens with your kids. Because you might get stumped one day and think, that's a bit foreign to me and my father. Where's that come from? Where's that particular thing come from? And the thing is, you never know for sure whether it's come from somewhere, something he's learned, something he's been taught, or something even genetic. Like we don't even know how much of this sort of stuff is just in your blood, so to speak. So it's a curious game of discovery.
Another thing, bro, like, when I say it takes a village to raise a child, yes, you can use that as an excuse, but I also feel like I'm quite convinced of that in terms of it actually doesn't take me off the hook fully, because the way I see that, if I truly believe that, it means part of my duty is to take my kids and mix them with the village.
Yeah.
So I have to proactively go out there, find friends for my kids, find activities for my kids, find, you know what I mean? Like when I go to the cafe with my friends, okay, bring my kids, even though that might disturb my ability to socialize or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like the consequence of believing that it takes a village, it means you have to now go and take action on that.
100%. But not just that, bro. It means that your reputation is even more important. your reputation with that village is even more important, because you will find out things about the kid will find out things about you from the village.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
You understand? So
that's why I got to be a top G alpha male, bro.
Not just that. You've got to be
a man of your,
an upstanding, moral, principled man. Absolutely. Because you can pretend whoever you want to be at home in front of your family, etc. But if you're out there, it just all unravels if it's if it doesn't match. If you're a mouse mouse outside of the house, so to speak, and a lion at home, your kids will see that straight away. And one thing I've tried to did I mention this before about just like stepping out my comfort? I did stepping out my comfort zone, challenging myself with certain things, that kind of thing. I'm trying to literally throw myself at everything, like literally launching myself at anything that was previously an issue. Previously, I had apprehensions for that kind of thing, because I don't want my kids to grow up with the same fears. I call them fears that I had growing up. Too scared to do this or too scared to do that, or take a chance or take a risk or whatever it is, and pairing that with absolute tawakkul online all matters is really key, because I think in the long run it's going to benefit them more knowing that their dad could speak up for himself and whoever else needs to be spoken up for and all this other stuff. So it's about taking the uphill road with everything that you can, with everything that presents itself, because there's an easy way out and a hard way out, but the hard way out tends to be the most rewarding. It tends to be the way that puts a stop to a certain situation or vocalizes your disgust with it or whatever it is. Changing things with your hand as opposed to hating it in your heart. Hating it in your heart is the easy way out. It's the easy way out. It's the easier thing to do. But this is with all matters. I'm trying to be way more deliberate with my time. Things need doing. So especially since I came back from Tunisia, there's always lists that pile up. And I'll do it tomorrow. I'm really trying to just do. Like everything that needs doing, just do it there and then. Okay, what needs doing now? And ultimately, the last thing is to be more comfortable with discomfort. Just to be more comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. That extends, because upping your pain threshold extends. There's an obvious one, like in the gym, like it's very easy to not push out that last rep because it's too painful, whatever it is. But also with like I said, with the I've been working all day and I've got this to do and this to do, and I just want to chill out now. Or actually, let me just put in another hour on my side hustle, or another hour on this, or even partaking in some sort of activity with the kids, because there's always that I'll do it tomorrow or whatever it is with the kids. And it goes back to what I was saying about spending quality time with them, spending time with them, the impact of that. It's about setting that precedent for your kids. So
I wanted to ask you something, bro.
Book. Go on.
I don't think you've ever discussed, like, maybe even I've not. No. What's your goals in life, sure.
My goal?
Your goals.
Interesting. My goals? My goal is to be there for all of my family members whenever they need me. And I think that's what frustrates me the most. And it's because from an early age, I knew that this responsibility would come. Not just my wife and kids, because I didn't know them at the time, but now that I do, but I knew that would manifest itself. I knew that for a long time my mum and my sisters were under my care, even when they weren't, even when I was too young to really actualize that. My dad was in Tunisia, so a lot of the last 10 years or so I knew, okay, I kind of have that, even though I'm still a kid, but whatever, even in my mind I'm a man and whatever. And then I knew that I've got my auntie and my grandma in Tunisia, and that separation of responsibility just like rips my heart to shreds. Like the fact that I'm here and like, my mum needs medical help because she's got bad back and a lot of other issues. My gran is quite ill and she's on her own. Her son's just died. My auntie's on her own and she's not working and all this stuff. And it's like, I need to be everywhere at once. And a lot of the time it's money that solves that, for example, long story short, there's like neighbors that are harassing my gran and my auntie in Tunisia. And the quickest way to deal with that is money. I could just build a massive wall and just get away from me, right? Protect them. Or just have the ability to not have to ask my boss every time I want to fly out somewhere, or not. All of it comes from, whatever financial freedoms of some sort. But it's not the financial freedoms that a lot of people have where it's like, I want that Lamborghini. What color is your Bugatti? Like that. Honestly, that does not, and it never did interest me to the level where I see others. And I think that is why we mentioned it before, didn't we? About, was it last episode? About the marriage thing, what motivates you in marriage and all this stuff.
Yeah.
My goal was to have a family. I achieved that. That was my life goal out the window. Now it's about being there for everyone that needs me. And yes, that does motivate me to work my butt off to try and achieve some sort of financial freedom, independence, whatever it is.
Gosh.
Not for the cars or the clothes or whatever, but so that I know everything's covered. I went to the graveyard today just to remind myself about, my father and what's happened, etc. And, I just realized this is no one else's responsibility now but mine. Even if these individual family members don't think that it's my job. Like my mum might say, and my love bless my mum, she might say, don't worry about me, it's fine. Just focus on what you need to do, focus on you. And they'll say that all the time. Like I took my mum out yesterday, she was like, I'm really sorry, don't worry about it next time. You need to be with your kids, etc., etc. I don't care about what they say. I still want to be there. I don't care if they say, no, I'm not your responsibility. Like my sister could get married tomorrow and she could go off with her husband and I'll still think that she's my responsibility. You know what I mean? Because I swore to my dad that I would look after
you're going to
them.
be that kind of brother-in-law, yeah?
Well, you know what I mean. But at the end of the day, if something was to happen, like let's say hypothetically, there's some sort of marital dispute or whatever, you'd want to be there to mediate. You'd want to be there to help progress that, to be a voice where there needs to be some understanding, whatever it is. You don't just wipe your hands of your family and that's it. They're off now. So yeah, that's my goal, bro. My goal ultimately is to fully, if I can't be there in person, I'll be there in some sort of monetary or financial assistance, or send somebody or whatever. Have the power to do something about those situations. That's it. Ultimately, that's it. If I had that, and I know people always say that, or if I had that, I'd be fine or whatever. Because everything I ever wanted, I've already got. Alhamdulillah. I want my wife, I want my kids. Alhamdulillah. More kids, yes, please. From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why not? But I just want the ability to not spoil everybody, but just when they're in need, I'll be there to provide. Bi'idhnillah. What about you? What are your goals?
When you reach that point, then you'll come up with some other thing, I guess, right? Is that how you're thinking about it?
After that, it would just, my circle would just extend, because right now, primarily, I'm thinking of my family, but there are so many other people, where there is extended family, where there's community members, where there's all sorts of people. I played this game the other day with my wife. I said, what would I do if I was a millionaire or whatever? And I thought straight away, I just thought of my village in Tunisia. And I thought about all the little areas that I've really run down that I'd love to fix for the people there, the community there, the people that have grown up. Since I've grown up, I'm almost 30. In the past 30 years, I've just seen them wearing tattered clothes or whatever it is, or their house has been unfinished, or they've got a leak, or whatever it is, this circle just extends. And if it was to keep extending, then it would include the whole ummah. Because I don't think, it doesn't need to stop anywhere. Yeah. But
I like that it's starting like close to home for you, though,
That's what makes me the happiest. I'm not saying that it doesn't make me happy to help the ummah, but I think the burning responsibility is first and foremost to my family, as it should be, I think, to everyone, because that's what I'm going to be immediately questioned about. Yeah. Right. And I think because, it's so fresh that my dad's just passed away that I want to fulfill that, fill his boots, so to speak. Yeah. But, when we were speaking about, remember Ramadan, we were talking about Qalbi Yatma'in and that show, and how Ghaith goes around and helps all these people.
That's what you want to be, bro.
That's all the time. But you wouldn't know it's me because I'd have a disguise on.
You'd
but bro,
that... What's it called? The Pure XI mask.
But that buzz, bro, like you must feel that buzz when you see that. You must feel that like, oh my God, that's incredible. He's just changed that person's life. Like, I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy for my family. Yeah. I want to be that guy for my community. I want to be that guy for the rest of the ummah. you know. And even for my family, I would absolutely love to be that for my family without them knowing. But that's really difficult, you know. I think there's a certain benefit to them knowing where it came from, especially when you are somebody who tries to fit Allah openly and privately, because then it's da'wah to your family as well. There's family members that may not be where you would like to see them be, spiritually speaking, right? There's family members that also consider that your religiosity holds you back from the dunya.
Yeah.
Right? And I want to prove them wrong.
You want to pull up in the Bugatti.
But I pull up in the Bugatti, let's go to the masjid. Then you'll be my friend. Right? Yeah. But it's that way in that sense. And then for everyone else, they don't need to know my name, they don't need to know my face. All I want to see is that smile on their face and
ease in the bank account.
Ease in the bank or ease in the building or whatever it is that they need ease, you know, whether it's medical attention, whether it's whatever. Because you know, I've seen people in there, obviously we see it all the time. You see people in absolute crisis and just bringing some relief by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and foremost. But I want to be the catalyst for that, so to speak.
It's interesting you're saying that because, you know, like me, and I think most people, when you ask them about their life goals, they'll mention some life goal, whatever. I want to start a huge water charity, for example.
Okay.
But then if their family needs help, that will just be like something that, of course, they assume they're going to take care of on the way. But you're saying your goal is, you know, to kind of be there for your family.
Yeah, I don't have this... I don't know why. Maybe it's a deficiency, but I don't have this thing about charity, like starting a charity or... I don't know. Maybe I just haven't experienced working with charities to see what it's like. But I feel there's a lot of detachment between me. And maybe it's because it's the middleman nature.
The charity.
Yeah, of course.
It could be that you want to have the biggest podcast in the world. Let's say you want mine to be the biggest podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't. If it is. You know, I think we do it because, or I do it because I enjoy it. I do it because I enjoy our conversations, and everything else is a byproduct.
Yeah. But you see what I mean? Like, I feel like taking care of family is a reactionary thing rather than a goal. And that's how I see it.
Possibly.
Like, if that's needed, I'll take care of it. If it's not needed, then my actual goal is X.
Well, it's about trying to rationalize what your goal is, because I remember a disagreement I had with my dad on his last few years was he was talking about goals, like setting goals, academic goals, employment goals, whatever. He was like, go for this, and then go for this, and go for this, and go for this. And I was disagreeing. I was like, I don't really want to do that. And he's like, no. And then I said to him, I remember specifically saying, Dad, why do you want me to go through all of these things? Like, why do you want me to get to this particular level? He's like, so you can have a happy life or whatever it was, something along those lines. I said, is it because you want me to be happy? And he goes, yes. So I was like, so what if I told you I'm already there? Like, what if I told you I'm already happy here? Why am I doing all of that? I've already achieved this thing.
Yeah.
And then he didn't know what to say. And I remember that.
Bugatti?
Yeah, what color is your Bugatti? But yeah, I mean, look, sometimes you do have to think like that. Sometimes you have to realize that even if you had all of that, there's going to be some element of unhappiness up there. It's about what battle would you rather? I'm already here. I'm up here. Say alhamdulillah about what I've got here. I get incredible frustration at the inability to support those that I feel responsible for. And that's beyond just my kids and my wife. I mean, of course, you know, there's so much for my kids that I would love to provide for them, you know. There's so much more, and I'm not talking about spoiling them. That's a different thing. I haven't got this notion about spoiling them, but there's things that I just consider that they might need that I'm like, oh my God, why haven't I done that yet? Because there isn't enough in the bank account at the moment, you know, because I had to make a decision about whether it's this or that. But without those feelings, what would motivate me to move? That's why, you know, I'm not ashamed to speak about, you know, a lack of funds or there isn't much in the bank account this month or whatever it is. Because if I never felt that, then I wouldn't have ever progressed, you know. There's a reason why when we started this podcast, I was in one flat and now I'm in this one. Because I tasted the discomfort and I wanted to keep improving. So there's wisdom in all of it. But that goes back to the question you asked me. What is your goal, bro? It's talking about me. Yeah, come on. You want to be the Muslim CEO? No,
No.
boring.
You know, I think I'll tell you, but first I just want to share something that I realized.
Go on then.
For many years, bro, probably since I was like 20, bro, 21 or something like that. So look, I just want to make a bit of money and get married. That's all,
Yeah,
that's all I want
I
to
hear
do.
you.
That period of my life lasted a long time, yeah.
Okay.
And alhamdulillah, both those things happened.
And now what?
But I feel like I'm still in that mode. I'm still
Whoa.
like, I haven't updated my, thing.
Yeah. You're in maintenance now. You're in the maintenance
Yeah,
phase.
which is awful, really.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it is awful. Yeah,
I don't think it's awful if you can stahmid Rabbi at the same time.
of course, but no, it's like you had a goal, you achieved the goal, and you're just looking back at your old goal.
So how would you develop that then?
Yeah,
it's the thing-
I think right now my goal is basically I want to, my whole YouTube channel is all focused around helping Muslim men, generally 20 to 30-year-olds. Now,
Right.
inshallah, I'm on the path of building an audience and all of that. But then the question is, okay, how are you going to actually help these people? What are you actually going to do? And that's what I'm still kind of working out. But for example, it could be that, like we talked about last episode and the episode I did with Kaya, there are big problems marriage-wise. And I feel like the family unit being intact and strong is key, like top 3 or top 5 things that would help have a stronger ummah, better ummah, right?
Right.
So I might just have something like that where it's like I'm going to solve X marriage issue for Muslim men and build stronger families. And it's going to be like a big business that it makes good money so it can fund itself and like have a big reach. And I just want to create like a big impact in that space. So for example, like how Nouman Ali Khan, he built Bayina. And it changed the whole possibility in people's minds around like learning Arabic and understanding the Quran and all of that.
Right.
Also, it made like tens of millions of dollars a year, mashallah. Not tens of, but at least 10 million a year. It had a huge dent, a huge impact, and it was financially strong, so it was able to do more and more. And there's many things they did that we don't know about as well with that money. That kind of thing. That's what I want to do.
Right.
But not in the area, obviously, of Arabic and all that. But yeah.
I think you could be a bit more specific to yourself, though. Maybe you're still exploring it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be real enough so that you can like chew on it, you can bite it, you can taste it, and you know what you're going for.
And this is like my business partners will tell you this. Yeah. Maybe you'll bring them on. They can wreck me in front of everyone, roast me. I'm awful when it comes to like vision.
Right.
In our business, like we've set all these goals, and every time we discuss goals and vision, I'm just silent. I'm like, look, I don't give a damn. Like, like if you set the goal to be 10K a month, 100K a month, 500K a month, I was like, it's not that I don't want that money. I do want that money, but it doesn't move me at all when you set a goal.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, okay, this coming 7 days, how can we get the most sales possible? Okay, then we made, let's say, whatever X in that time. Okay, the next 7 days, let's try and do X plus, another £3,000 or something, right? That's how I'm thinking. So I'm very bad with vision, and I realize it's like a handicap because all the great leaders that led movements, they had vision. They could sell people on a vision of that's the place we're going. The end goal is this amazing thing, and that's why you guys should sacrifice today to get on that mission and go towards it. And if I don't even have it, how can I lead a movement of that? So that's one of my weaknesses. But to try and be specific, it all comes down to the problem that I choose to solve, because I don't think I'm going to go around solving all different problems for Muslim men. I think one of them is enough. So for example, if I could, these platforms like Half Hour Deen or, Muslim Matrimony, if I could, like, maybe they're doing a good thing. If I could like make a sicker version of that, and like we track the divorce rates 10 years down the line, and we track the compatibility, and whatever it is, Yani, if I could make a big dent in just helping people get married or helping people stay married and be good at relationships and communication, one of these kind of sized areas, if I could revolutionize that's kind of my goal. But what is the area? It's still not sure.
I think it's difficult for you because my assumption is that there hasn't been anything that you've tasted that's been really negative that you've then overcome, at least in this field, and then tried to teach others how to do it, right?
In my personal experience.
Yeah, because if you like, let's say you'd been through on the brink of divorce and you managed to just swing it around and you turned your life around, or other things. You've helped men with addictions before, but have you battled your own, like that kind of thing? Like you've got to have tasted it so that, for example, like, okay, like I mentioned earlier, I've tasted the frustration of not being able to be there when people needed me, and I never want to be in that position again.
Yeah. All
right. And that, the fear of that crumbling down and not having access and not whatever it is, or the fact that the frustration right now, that I'd speak to my auntie over the phone and this is happening and this is happening, this is happening.
Yeah.
And I'm not there to do it for them. Like, that's driving me nuts. Like, that keeps me up at night. That keeps me wanting to move, So for you, I think maybe the same thing. You need to find that thing that, even if you let's say you haven't tasted it yourself, it's happened to someone so close to you, or something that is really passionate.
I have those things, bro. I just don't share.
That's good.
Them.
No, that's fine. Yeah. That's it then. If that's the case, then that's it. That's good that you've got that.
But also, I feel like that is a nice to have when it comes to solving a problem. Like, I believe that if someone dedicates themselves to solving a problem, with or without the personal experience of it, they can find, like, if they are focused on solving that one thing, they can find a solution. Like, even of me as a younger person, I believe I can help people with divorce or with even parenting. If I put enough focus into it, it's not about my personal experience. It's about collecting the experiences and the learnings of other people throughout history around the whole world, right? If I do enough research and enough testing and enough this and that, I'm going to find the formula, inshallah. But it would help that I have some sort of personal story with that, definitely, yes.
Yeah, it would help them as
if
a
anything,
receiver.
It would motivate me as well.
That's it. It would motivate you more. It would keep, and not that motivation lasts forever, but it will always reignite every now and again.
It's like those people that say, I'm so passionate about this thing because my mum did that or my dad went through that.
100%. 100%. Those are the best stories.
And another goal, that's like my kind of big goal, whatever, right? Like helping the ummah. But I think it's quite admirable to achieve something like that, and also without being that guy who's never at home kind of thing, or basically, sometimes you see people, they achieve so much but their kids are just loonies, bro, off the rails, swinging from the ceiling.
Well, yeah, tell me about it.
That's not a good way of characterizing bad kids, because like running around and swinging off, that's not actually a bad thing. It's more like, if they're, I don't know, spoiled or ungrateful, or they're not practicing, or these are real problems.
Yeah. SubhanAllah.
Too many kids. Make us, Ameen, ya Rab. Go on, finish your dua.
I was going to say, may Allah make us the parents we need to be.
Ameen,
that's about it.
Ameen, ya Rab. I thought you were going to go on a longer one, but
no.
I was just going to say, there are far too many kids that, their parents are being told that they're not doing well in school, or they're not behaving well, but they just shouldn't be at school, That
bit cut out for me. I don't know what you said there.
I said there are far too many kids, they're at school, and their parents are being told that. Can you hear me?
It just cut out for me again. I think we're gonna end it here anyway, but
yes,
I didn't hear you.
We're good now, right?
Yeah, I think we're okay now.
Okay,
just cut out twice.
Let's end it there then, inshallah. Okay, Jazakallah khair, bro. Good one. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Go to mindheistpodcast.com for the deets.